Okay, so let's dive in here. You sent over a ton of YouTube interviews with Lou Diamond, even a book trailer for Speakeasy.
Mm.
It seems like you're really fascinated with this whole idea of, making every interaction count, whether it's a casual chat or a big business meeting.
Yeah, what I find interesting is that Diamond goes beyond the typical conversation advice. He argues that any form of communication can be a conversation.
Mm.
Emails, social media posts, even newsletters, it really broadens the scope.
Yeah, it really makes you think about all those missed opportunities to, really connect.
Especially in our digital world. Diamond even points out how it's made us all a bit sloppy.
Yeah, he's got a point there. And to combat that sloppiness, he created a framework of 7 C's that are key to creating really engaging conversations. He lays it all out in Speakeasy.
7 C's, huh? Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so he starts with content, which makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Conversations are how we learn, grow, exchange information.
Okay, yeah, content, I'm with you. But doesn't it matter what kind of content we're putting out there? Oh, absolutely. And that's where the second C comes in context. It's all about relating stories and examples that resonate with the other person, making that content meaningful. You need to tailor your message to your audience. It's not just about the information itself, but how it lands with the person you're talking to.
That reminds me of something I struggle with sometimes. It's like finding that balance between sharing information and actually connecting with someone. Sometimes I feel like I just end up info dumping.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's a common trap. And it highlights why cadence is so important. It's the third C. It's about finding that natural rhythm and flow in the conversation. Think about those conversations that just click. There's a certain ease to them, an energy.
It's like a dance almost. You
Mhm.
need to be in sync with the other person to
Right.
create
Yeah.
that connection.
Exactly. And then, of course, you need clarity. That might seem kind of obvious, but making sure the message is actually understood is crucial,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about complex topics.
Yeah. And that could be a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I over-explain things, and then other times I'm not clear enough and people are left confused.
Finding that sweet spot is an art, and it's all in service of the ultimate goal, connection building relationships and making sure that there's further interaction.
Okay, so 4 C's down,
Yeah.
context, cadence, clarity, all leading to Connection Diamond, frames these elements as like the essential ingredients in a cocktail. You know, the fundamental building blocks for any good conversation. I think it's an interesting analogy because it makes mastering conversation feel more approachable, almost like learning a recipe.
Right. It definitely takes some of the pressure off, and it highlights the importance of understanding the basics before you can start experimenting and getting creative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with the best ingredients, a cocktail can fall flat if the bartender isn't skilled. How do we become master conversationalists?
Well, Diamond argues that how you are is more important than what you do or say.
So it's more about your mindset and energy going into a conversation.
He believes that's where true connection comes from. And he encourages you to mentally prepare before any interaction, a podcast, a big presentation, even those dreaded, uncomfortable conversations we all try to avoid.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Mm.
What does that mental preparation actually look like?
He lays out a simple voice checklist.
Each letter stands for something, I'm guessing.
Yes, got it. V is for visualize. Before you go into the conversation, actually take a moment to visualize how you want it to go.
So it's like a mental rehearsal.
Huh.
I can see how that would help you feel more prepared and confident.
What about O?
O is for appreciate. Remember that every conversation is a gift, an opportunity to connect.
I love that shift in perspective. Instead of seeing it as a chore or obligation, you're framing it as a valuable experience. It changes the whole dynamic.
Right. And I stands for identity. Be aware of your role in the conversation. Are you the expert, the listener, the facilitator? Knowing this helps you show up authentically.
Visualize, appreciate identity.
Mm.
Okay, what about C and E?
C is for charisma. Bring your unique personality to the table. Nobody wants to talk to a cardboard cutout.
You got it. And finally, E is for elevating. Bring energy and enthusiasm to the conversation.
I love it. So this voice steady checklist is like a quick mental tune-up before any interaction. Diamond also offers some specific strategies for navigating those often dreaded networking events, which, by the way, he prefers to call connect-working events.
It's a much better term, isn't it? It really puts the focus on building genuine connections rather than just collecting business cards.
Absolutely. So what are some of his strategies for connect working effectively?
He suggests crafting what he calls a teammate.
A teammate. I'm not sure I follow.
It's basically a concise introduction that highlights your passions and interests instead of just your job title.
So instead of the typical, hi, I'm the senior marketing manager at XYZ company, it's more like,
More like, hi, I'm your name, and I'm passionate about helping businesses tell their stories in a way that connects with their audience.
oh, wow, that's so much more engaging. It immediately sparks curiosity and invites further conversation.
Exactly. And he also encourages sharing personal stories and what he calls superpowers to make a memorable impression.
Superpowers. Now I'm really curious.
So Diamond believes that everyone has a unique superpower, something they're exceptionally good at. It could be anything from coding to baking to making people laugh.
Okay, I see how this all ties together.
Yeah.
Instead of the typical awkward small talk, you're sharing something authentic and interesting about yourself.
And by doing that, you're creating a genuine opportunity for connection.
I love it. It's like you're giving people a glimpse into who you really are beyond your job title or professional persona.
Exactly. And Diamond reminds us that the goal of networking or connect working isn't to meet everyone in the room.
It's quality over quantity.
Right. He shares this story about a woman he met at a networking event who introduced herself by saying, "Hi, my name is Karen. I'm studying to be a sushi chef, and I can't wait to travel to Osaka next year."
Wow, that's definitely not your typical networking intro. It's so specific and memorable.
And it sparked a genuine connection. He immediately wanted to learn more about her.
It's funny how something so personal, even as simple as a passion for sushi, can instantly create that spark.
It highlights the power of authenticity. You don't have to be the most extroverted person in the room to connect with people.
That's reassuring. I think a lot of people, myself included, feel this pressure to be on all the time at those events.
Right. But authenticity is so much more powerful than trying to force connection.
It seems like Diamond's whole approach to conversation is about being intentional, prepared, and genuine. And he emphasizes the importance of curiosity. He says that one of the keys to being a good conversationalist is to be genuinely interested in the other person.
It's like that saying, to be interesting, be interested.
Exactly. But Diamond takes it a step further. He says you should treat every conversation like a gift.
It's such a simple shift in perspective, but it makes a huge difference in how you approach interactions.
It makes you more present and appreciative of the opportunity to connect. Speaking of gifts, Diamond shares his own gift on his podcast in the form of a lightning round.
Oh, I love those rapid-fire question and answer segments. They're always so revealing.
In one episode, he's asked about his favorite time of day to work. What'd he say?
He's an early bird. He does his best work before 9 a.m.
Makes sense. He's got so much energy, I can definitely see him being a morning person.
Right. And then he was asked about his ideal work attire if there were no dress code.
Oh, I love this one. It really gives you a glimpse into someone's personality.
He said black t-shirt jeans or comfy pants and cool sneakers.
Comfortable and stylish. Very Silicon Valley CEO.
And then the big question, what would you be doing if you weren't doing what you do now?
I wonder if he's got a secret passion he's been hiding.
He actually said he loves what he does so much that he can't imagine doing anything else. But if he had to choose something different, it'd probably be playing golf.
That makes sense. It's a challenging game that requires focus and strategy, and you get to be out in nature.
No.
What about his favorite part of his work?
No surprise here. He loves having conversations with clients and prospective clients.
It's interesting, right? He's built this whole career around teaching people how to have better conversations. And yet he still finds so much joy in just connecting with others.
It speaks to the power of genuine human connection. And it highlights something else he mentioned, the importance of practice. You can never stop practicing the art of conversation.
It's like any skill. The more you practice, the better you become. And finally, there was that fun hypothetical question, what would you do with an extra hour in the day?
His answer was insightful. He said he'd use it to work on himself, maybe exercise more, learn a new skill, or focus on meditation.
I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and forget to prioritize our own well-being.
It's a great reminder that self-care is essential, especially for those of us who are, constantly interacting with others.
And it ties back to Diamond's point about being present and appreciating every moment.
Absolutely. He even made this connection between meditation and conversation. He said that meditation is like having a conscious conversation with yourself.
That's a fascinating way to think about it. It's like taking the time to listen to your own inner voice.
Exactly. And in a world that's constantly demanding our attention, that inner voice can easily get drowned out.
It seems like Diamond's philosophy isn't just about mastering external communication, but also about cultivating a strong internal dialogue.
That's a great observation. And it makes me think about the bigger implications of his message. It's like if we really buy into this idea that every interaction is a conversation, mastering communication becomes about so much more than just speaking effectively,
Mhm.
you know? It's about cultivating mindful presence in every aspect of our lives.
Right, like we're constantly engaged in this dialogue, not just with other people, but with the world around us. Our actions, our choices, our creations, they all speak volumes.
Yeah, and if we approach each of those interactions with that intention, that curiosity, that how you are mentality Diamond talks about, we have the potential to create some really meaningful experiences for ourselves and those around us. It raises the stakes.
It really does. Makes you think twice about all those little interactions we have every day. But how do we actually apply these principles to those broader conversations you're talking about? It seems a lot easier when you're thinking about face-to-face conversations.
That's a great question. And to be honest, it's not something that Diamond explicitly addresses in the material you provided, but it's definitely something worth exploring. Like, for example, think about how you interact with your physical environment. Are
Yeah.
you mindful of the space you occupy? Do you treat objects with care and respect? Or consider how you consume information. Are you just passively scrolling or actively engaging with the ideas?
Whoa, you're blowing my mind here. I never thought about those things as forms of communication. But it makes sense. Even the way I organize my desk or what I share on social media, it's all a reflection of my values, and it sends a message to the world, whether I'm aware of it or not.
Exactly. And once you start to see every interaction as a conversation, you become more aware of the messages you're sending and the impact they're having.
It's like a superpower almost.
Hmm.
The ability to consciously shape your interactions with the world.
Diamond might say that's your superpower coming through.
Maybe he's right. But all jokes aside, I can see how this shift in perspective could be really empowering. It gives you a sense of agency. You're responsible for the conversations you create.
And it challenges you to be more intentional with every aspect of your life, you know? If every action is a form of communication, what kind of message are you putting out there?
That is a powerful question.
Yeah.
And I think it's one we should all ask ourselves more often. But let's bring it back to those more traditional forms of conversation for a second. I'm curious, what are your biggest takeaways from everything we've discussed? Anything that really resonated with you?
Honestly, that voice checklist is a game changer for me. I can see myself using that before any important interaction, work meeting, job interview, even just a tough conversation with someone I care about.
I'm right there with you. Visualizing the outcome, appreciating the opportunity, being aware of your role, bringing your authentic self, and bringing the energy. Simple but powerful,
Yeah.
and something we can all benefit from no matter our skill level.
And I really appreciated Diamond's emphasis on authenticity, you know? In a world where we're constantly told to be someone we're not, it's refreshing to be reminded that true connection comes from being ourselves.
Yeah, and that ties into his whole concept of connect working, right? Crafting a teammate that reflects your passions and sharing your superpower. It's all about showcasing your authentic self
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the superficial and connecting with people on a deeper level.
and being selective about those connections too. He reminds us that we don't need to connect with everyone, just those who really resonate with us.
Finding your tribe, the people who really get you.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive. We've covered so much: the 7 C's, the Voice checklist, the power of personal stories, the importance of authenticity, and so much more.
We even expanded the definition of conversation to include every interaction we have.
And we've uncovered so many valuable insights and practical strategies that we can all use to be better communicators and create those meaningful connections in our lives.
It's been quite a journey, and I hope everyone listening is feeling inspired to put all this into practice.
Yeah. So the next time you're dreading a networking event or struggling to write an engaging email, remember what Diamond says: prepare with intention, be present, and share your superpower.
Because every interaction, no matter how small, has the potential to spark a connection.
And here's a final thought-provoking question to leave you with. If every interaction is a conversation, what opportunities are you missing to connect more deeply with the world around you?
That's something to think about. Until next time, happy connecting.
It's funny, isn't it? We think about communication as this outward thing, but Diamond really brings it back to ourselves with that whole how you are idea.
Yeah, it's that self-awareness again, like that inner conversation he compared to meditation. If we're not in the right headspace, if we're not fully present, it's going to show, no matter how well you can talk.
That's like you can't pour from an empty cup. You got to take care of yourself to really connect with others. Diamond saying he'd spend an extra hour working on himself really says something about his priorities.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that connection starts internally. By, cultivating that strong inner dialogue, that curiosity, that enthusiasm, that's the foundation for connecting with the world around us.
Like we're tuning our instruments so we can play in harmony with others.
I like that. And it reminds me of something else Diamond talked about, being a good listener, you
Yeah.
know? It's not just about expressing ourselves, but also making space for others to be heard.
Which can be a challenge,
Yeah.
especially these days when everyone's trying to promote themselves and get their message out there.
Definitely takes effort to shift from me to we, to really listen with your ears, but also with your heart and mind.
And to be curious about the other person's perspective, even if it's different from your own. Seeing those differences as opportunities to grow and understand.
Exactly. Building bridges, not walls.
And that's the core of Diamond's message, isn't it? That power of real connection. Recognizing that every interaction, even the small ones, can create positive change.
Yeah, like a ripple effect. And it reminds us that we're all connected, whether we see it or not. Our words, our actions, our presence, it all makes a difference.
So let's make that difference a good one. Let's go into every conversation, every interaction with intention, curiosity, and a real desire to connect.
The world needs more of that right now. More empathy, more understanding, more real human connection.
And who knows, maybe by embracing this whole philosophy, we can make a world where every conversation is a gift, a chance to build bridges, bring joy, make a real difference.
That's a vision worth working towards.
So until next time, keep those conversations flowing. And remember, connect with intention and heart.